So today I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Maplewood Community Design Review Board. Today is April 20th, 2021, 6 o'clock p.m. And so we will do the roll call. And usually I just say, yeah, we're all here, but I think you said, let's see here. So Bill Kempe, that's me here. Jason Lammers, are you there?
Yes, here, present.
Matt Lavina, I guess, is absent. He's not answering.
I know he's around because I saw him walking his dog this afternoon.
Okay. Anant is here, and Bruce, I see your face on the screen right now. So we have 4 out of 5. We have a quorum. We will continue with the meeting. So the next thing is the approval of the agenda. Staff, and anything to add to the agenda?
Chair and board, staff does not have any amendments to the agenda as presented.
Board, is there any comments on the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That sounds like unanimous to me. Next thing is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which is March 16th, 2021. Staff, any corrections, etc.?
Chair and board, staff does not have any amendments to the minutes as presented.
And then board, same thing. Any comments?
Comments from the minutes. I motion to approve those minutes from March 16th, 2021.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, well, was that Bruce? You seconded?
Sure.
Okay, good. All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye. Aye.
I'll abstain. I was not there at the last meeting.
Okay, so we have 3 ayes and 1 abstention from Anant. Okay, we will now move on to the next item of business, which is design review, building 235, 3M Center. Staff report, please.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'll be doing this one here. I'm just going to pull my PowerPoint up. Oh, Mike, let me do that.
Yeah, I will create that permission. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Good to go.
All right. So the first item here is building 235 on the 3M Center campus. This project is for an exterior wall repair and renovation to building 235. The site is 379 acres, and the applicant tonight is requesting approval for design review for this project. So a little bit about the project. RSI, on behalf of 3M, has applied for this project to renovate and repair exterior walls to building 235. The building is comprised of 3 main portions, which are described in and illustrated in the narrative that you received. The main building was originally constructed in 1964 with 2 additions to the north side in 1978 and a 3rd addition along the west side in 2004. So the project will include the installation of a new brick veneer cavity wall over air and moisture barrier systems, some general brick veneer maintenance, and replacing aluminum window unit frames and glazing. The project will not expand the building footprint, and as part of the project, there will be some tree removal to obtain access to the areas that will be under construction, and the trees and mulch landscaping beds will be restored to their original state. I included a couple images here that were in your packet as well. This is the view of the building from the north. And then this here is the view from the northeast corner of the building, looking west. This was also included in your packet. This one, you can see it's an aerial view of the building, and you can see the additions that were called out in the narrative. I didn't include the elevations in my PowerPoint. I know you have those in your packet. It was a little hard to get them on here so that you could see them very well. I can certainly pull them up though and zoom in on them if you have questions or would like to discuss anything specifically with myself or the applicant.
The intention to reuse the same brick that is existing there today?
I think there will be some repair and replacement is my understanding. And our applicant is here tonight, so he can maybe go into greater detail as far as that's concerned. So my last slide here is staff's recommendation. So we are recommending a motion to approve the design plans for this project. And there is 5 conditions that we have here, subject to the applicant doing the following. And I can go through each of those conditions if you'd like. So to repeat this review in 2 years if the city has not issued a permit for the project, and that all requirements of the fire marshal and building official are met, the applicant will need to obtain a building permit prior to construction, and all requirements of the city's tree preservation ordinance must be achieved. And in addition, that the applicant will work with our environmental planner to make sure that this requirement is satisfied. And all work will need to follow the approved plans, and the Director of Community Development may approve minor changes. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And like I said, Doug Danks, I believe is his name, is here tonight. I saw him at the on the call here. So if you have specific questions about, like your question regarding the brick, I would maybe ask him.
So is it, looking at the elevations, is the entire north elevation all new brick? Or is there some existing brick on the north side that is going to remain?
Let me pull this.
Elizabeth, I can address that question if you'd like.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, glad to. Chairman and members of the board, the areas of the building that we are undertaking repairs and then also some extensive restoration work, that is all clad right now with a brick veneer. So we will be removing that brick veneer so that we can get adequate access to the backup wall construction, making repairs to that backup wall construction. And then currently, when those additions were built, according to kind of the standard for masonry construction at that time, there was not what would be considered an adequate air moisture barrier system that was installed on the backup wall. And we will be installing that prior to replacing the brick veneer over those areas of the building. And the brick that we have chosen right now is really about as close a match to that existing brick as we could hope for. It's almost, I believe, an identical matching brick. So in the end, the appearance of the building, unfortunately, we can't brag and say that we're changing it all that much, but and as far as thermal performance, air and moisture performance, the building will be significantly improved in those ways.
On the, I think it would be the east elevation towards 22nd Street.
Mm-hmm.
Is there going to be any noticeable difference where the brick transition stops to the main building, or is that transition a different material?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jason. So the transition will be a slight transition. The original building 235 brick is slightly different from the brick that was used on the additions that were done subsequently. Our brick that we're proposing is, again, a near exact match for the addition, the additions on the north side of the building that were installed. But there's a very slight difference between that brick for the additions and the original building. Fortunately, those brick areas are separated by a vertical panel of a precast concrete material. So that does help to disguise some of that difference, the slight difference that there is in appearance.
Okay, thank you for answering that.
You're welcome.
I take it you are replacing the metal coping at the top of the walls?
We are not at this point. We are actually going to be leaving the metal coping in place And working around that, there's also below the metal coping an existing precast architectural concrete coping or parapet wall cap. We will be leaving that in place as well.
Not seeing the precast concrete at the top in the renderings.
Yeah, it is covered. It's really not visible at this point. It's still there as a substrate for the precast or the pre-finished metal coping that's there.
Okay.
Essentially, we're matching exactly what's there for the most part. So
Precisely, Jason. Yes.
I think this one's really straightforward. I don't have any further questions.
I don't either.
Okay,
I would make a motion to approve the plans date stamped March 15th, 2021 for the 3M Center exterior wall improvements at building 235.
I'll second that. We've got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no discussion or request for a discussion, I will call it to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? It sounds like it's unanimous. The motion passes. Congratulations, applicant. So with that item done, we will now move on to item number 2, design review, building 231, 3M Center. Staff report, please.
All righty. I'll be taking you through this one as well. So this is for building 231 on the 3M Center campus. This will be an expansion to an existing building, 231, which is their utility building. Again, the site 379 acres, and the applicant is requesting approval for design review. So a little bit about the project. The addition will be approximately 6,320 square feet. It will house a new central boiler system and provide space for future chillers for the system. The proposed building addition is where it's proposed to be located is currently vacant, so there are no trees or landscaping or other structures that will be removed as part of this addition. And it will match the exterior of the existing brick facade. It'll be a combination of insulated metal wall panels and brick. And the height of the proposed addition will match the existing structure elevations. Here is a site map that was included in your packet. You can see the existing building 231 is right here. If you see 213, it's just kind of over here to the left or to the west. And the called out in red is where the addition will be. Here's obviously the full campus with McKnight on the west and 94 on the south. And then here's a closer up view of the existing building 231 right here. And then here is the building addition that is being proposed. Again, I didn't include the elevations only because they didn't show up very well on the PowerPoint. However, we can certainly pull those up if you would like to for any discussion. But of course, you've received everything in the packet as well. With that, staff's recommendation for the 3M Center Building 231 project is to make a motion to approve the design plans, and subject to the applicant doing the following. There are 6 conditions on this project that staff is recommending. Number 1, repeat the review in 2 years if the city has not issued a building permit, and that all requirements of the fire marshal and building official will be met. The applicant will need to obtain a building permit prior to construction, and that the applicant will meet water quality requirements and obtain a grading, storm sewer, and sanitary sewer permit prior to construction. Again, all requirements of the city's tree preservation ordinance will need to be achieved, and that the applicant will work with our environmental planner to satisfy that requirement. All work will need to follow the approved plans, and that the director of community development may approve minor changes. We have two representatives here on the call tonight to help answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, first of all, Bill, as I am an ex-employee of BWBR, I may have a conflict of interest. So what is your opinion on whether I can participate in the question and answers or in the voting?
My opinion is that we value your opinion greatly. So if you would like to participate in the discussion, I think that would be appreciated. Perhaps it would be best for you for the voting if you were to abstain, as to avoid any conflict of interest.
Shall do.
Okay, anybody else on the board have any thoughts about that, or does that sound good to everyone?
I agree.
Sounds great. I agree.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have somebody from one of the
Yes.
applicants that wants to speak.
We have two representatives. So there's Abby, she's on the video here, and then Craig, who's not on video, but he is here. I see him on there.
Okay.
In the building, in the plan set that we have, it's a black and white. For the building materials, can you just speak to the exterior? I know this is kind of a concealed building, kind of back in the middle of that area, but what are the building materials?
Yeah, I can speak to that.
Match to the existing.
So the existing north facade of the building 235 actually is a metal panel. However, the remainder of the sides of 235, the west and the south side, are brick. Just to the east of the 235 building is building 210, and that is an all brick building as well. So the intent of the addition is to provide a brick exterior wall that will match as close as possible to the existing brick. So Elizabeth had noted that the addition would be brick and metal panel, but that actually is incorrect. All of the addition will be just all brick.
I assume you're talking about building 231 because you just mentioned 235.
Oh, I meant 231. Very similar to what 235 was talking about. A match to the brick as close as possible is what we're trying to do.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the new facade will have, in addition to new brick, will also have some metal panel. Is that correct?
It will not. No, it's all brick.
Okay.
There will be some curtain wall punched openings to mimic similar to the openings that are on the north facade of building 231 today. So if you have reference to those elevations, there's some lower windows as well as some higher windows that will be added on to the addition.
What is the color of the trim metal for those windows?
It's to match the existing. I believe the existing is anodized, anodized aluminum window. So as much as possible, we're matching what's there. So the brick, the trim for the windows, the coping, everything will be a similar match.
Hey, any other comments from the board?
There seems to be some new hollow metal doors with some glass lights on them. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there will be access. There's one door on the south side that will access building 231. There will also be some openings on the north elevation. There will be a couple hollow metal doors. There will also be, not represented in the documents that were presented, but an overhead coiling door as well.
Am I the one having internet problems or anybody else having some internet problems?
No, I'm good.
Good.
So what I was asking was the color of the those hollow metal doors will be painted. Would that match something else?
Yes, so there are some existing hollow metal doors and frames on the existing north elevation of 231. So those obviously will be now part of the interior, but there is a dark brown paint color that we will be matching for all of the remainder of those openings to match the building.
And here again, just like the last applicant, I assume there's some new pre-finished metal coping on the top.
Yes, there will be. So our new wall system will have the new coping to match the existing coping color. Again, it's a dark brown.
Hey, any other comments from or questions from the board?
No, I think this is fairly straightforward. I have no issues. The only little comment that I might have, Mr. Chair, is that for this application, it would have been nice to have a isometric or a perspective, just like the previous applicant had for his building. What building was that?
235.
235, yeah. That always helps.
Yes, it would, but we don't have it. So
I know.
it's but you know, it looks like it's a fairly minor project on the scope of the entire campus, and it is a very interior to the campus too. So if there's no other comments, I'd go ahead and make a motion that I move to approve the design plans, date stamped March 26, 2021, titled 3M Center Building 231 Expansion, located with a 3M Center campus. Approval is subject to the applicant doing the following, which is items 1 through 6.
Second that
Second.
motion.
Yeah. Motion and multiple seconds. So any further discussion?
Can someone hear me? This is Carla.
Hi,
Can
Carla.
you hear me?
Is this Carla Sand?
Yes.
Hi,
Who am I speaking with? Yes.
this is Bill Kempe.
Oh, Bill, will you help me? Are you discussing the property that's across from the street from me right now, or are you
No.
doing a different motion?
We're talking about the 3M campus. The next item will be that apartment complex that's over across from you.
Hey, Carla, it's nice to hear from you. This is Anand Shankar on the board here.
Say, your voice is a little hard for me to hear. Say that again.
Anand Shankar here. We'll talk to you in the next project after this one. We are discussing another project right now.
Okay, good. That's all I wanted. I wanted to come in on Zoom, but they didn't give us a password in the letter, so I have to do this in the sly. I don't know why they didn't give us a password.
Okay. Well, I recognized your voice, Carla. So
Thank you.
Yeah. So
I'll
anyway,
listen.
we were about to vote on this project for building 231 in the 3M campus. There was no further discussion, so I'm going to call it to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, that's 3 ayes and 1 abstain and 1 not here. So the motion passes. So applicants, congratulations on this. You may proceed with this. And now we will move on to the next item of business, which is design review, Maplewood Gardens, 410 McKnight Road South. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair and Board. As I put up a slide here, a couple slides to walk through our discussion. As Mr. Chair mentioned, we are looking at 410 McKnight Road South. And as you just got an indication from, we do have a couple callers, it appears, that are interested in this item as well. I would remind the board, it's not a public hearing. It is a public meeting, but it is up to the chairperson if they would like to elicit comment on this item. But before that, I will go through the outline of the project, and want to make note too that the applicant is present. So the applicant is seeking approval.
Can I just ask you, Michael, is the planning commission meeting right after this?
It is, yes.
Okay, I just want to keep that in mind. So go ahead, please.
Yep. So the applicant is seeking approval to substantially rehabilitate the 29 unit apartment complex located at 410 McKnight Road South. Again, this is an existing apartment building or apartment complex that is already there. They are not significantly, they're not adding on to the apartment buildings. So it's largely a rehab of interior space, and then there's some exterior space or exterior changes that are also going on, and that's why it's before the board here tonight. So they are requesting approval of design review in order to move forward. Part of that exterior work does include replacing existing paving, curbs, so within the driveway areas of the site, and sidewalks. This is done to address existing exterior site and stormwater management issues. If you were able to read through the city engineer's report as he reviewed this project, the stormwater retention grows, so meaning that they're able to keep some additional stormwater retention on site. So the stormwater, it's not a huge improvement, but it is an improvement over existing conditions. So the stormwater management does improve with this work moving forward. Again, just want to reiterate that there's no changes to the overall site plan, no changes to the access points off Pond Avenue and McKnight Road. So the circulation of the site will stay the same. The one building addition does involve a new 2-stall garage. It's an ADA compliant garage that will be between garages 3 and 4. If you looked on the site plan, it's approximately in this area, if you can see my cursor here. And that garage does meet setbacks. You would also have noted in the staff report that just north of that new garage, the applicant did have an addition of 2 new spaces that would not meet setback requirements. So it is staff's recommendation that those 2 additional surface spaces be removed from the site plan. And the applicant has already acknowledged to staff that they understand that and are working to remove that from the site plan. All existing buildings, so the apartment buildings and the garage buildings, are to receive new fiber cement siding. The apartment buildings are also set to receive new windows and roofing. The applicant has submitted the rendering that you see on your screen here. This is a somewhat slightly revised rendering in terms of color. And the applicant can speak more to the color that they've chosen as far as the palette, and questions can be directed to the applicant. And also, I know that the next slide we'll talk about this, but we received 2 letters in response to this project. We sent out notifications to 250 surrounding property owners, so a good number of property owners received notice of this. We received 2 letters. One was about stormwater concerns flowing to the west side of McKnight, so touched on a bit on that on the beginning here of the conversation. Then another letter was concerning what the applicant's plans had indicated was removal of the existing chain link fence. So we received 1 letter with concern about that fence going away. I actually received a call today hoping the fence would go away and that they don't like the look of it. What the applicant is proposing is, you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of this slide, is a new fence material that would go up with a composite lumber pickets with some airspace between each picket. Should make notice that there is no city code requirement for fencing in this circumstance when we have the residential to residential situation that's going on. So last slide here, tree replacement requirements, parking requirements, and lighting requirements are all being met based on the plans that were submitted by the applicant. Already mentioned of the notices that were sent out to 250 property owners. And then staff is recommending approval of the design plans as conditioned in your staff report. So with that, staff can stand for any questions. And again, just want to remind the board that the applicant is present.
I have a question. This is Gene Scalco, HOA member, Maplewood Hills Association, which is adjacent
Hold on,
to the property.
sir. This is, the chair will call on you if he decides to ask questions from the public, but at this time, it's the chair and the board will be asking questions of staff.
I
Yes.
apologize. Thank you.
Hey, board, any comments or questions?
What year were these?
The public right now?
Carla,
I'm not, I can't hear you. No, is it open to the public now that I can ask a question? No?
it's not now. Maybe a little.
Okay,
I want to make sure we don't go over
okay.
time, so we will, if we have time, we will allow public comments, but right now it is a discussion for the board and the applicant only.
Are all the exterior materials new for the proposal? Or-
Sharon,
When does somebody tell,
Hold-
when does somebody tell you what the people who are living there now are going to do?
Hold, I'm
What's
gonna, so
happening?
Chair and board, I'm gonna mute phone callers at this point.
Yes.
And so people that have called into the meeting to comment on this, I just want to remind you, this is not a public hearing. This is a permitted use. If the board chair decides to let public comment, he will call on you individually. That will be the chair of this meeting's decision. So at this time, there is a question about, are the materials new to the project and to the buildings? And yes, Mr. Shankar, they would be new materials.
So what is the material I'm looking at between the windows on the first and second floor? It looks it's light tan colored. Is that some kind of a wood siding?
Chair and board, I would invite Ken Isaacson, who's a representative of the applicant. He can jump in here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and board. I apologize. I don't know if you refer to as board members, but I'll assume so. In answer to your question, all the exterior materials are going to be replaced, and it's all going to be hardy. So there's horizontal lap siding, and those panels you see are, and Larry is our architect. He's here as well. He could speak to it, but those are panels, smaller panels. We're trying to create a little more elevation, interest in the elevation than what's there today, which is just horizontal siding with shutters.
Michael, could you put that elevation on again for us to look at?
Sure. Let me pull that up here.
Ken, while he's pulling that up, can you tell me what year these were originally built?
1980. We acquired the property 2 years ago with the intention, our company, we do 1 or 2 of these substantial rehabs every year. And we're long-term owners, we don't sell.
Okay, and applicant, I forgot your name already.
It's Ken.
Ken, hi Ken.
Hi there.
Bill Kempe here, I'm the chair.
Nice to meet you.
You said the shutters? I don't see any shutters.
No, that the existing.
Existing, okay.
Yeah, this is proposed, so it's all new elevation. The exterior elevations are all new.
All right, got it. Yep, thank you.
So you're not proposing any gutters or vertical rain leaders?
They are. We're just. I'll be honest. When we've done rehabilitation, when we submitted for this review, my focus was really on the site plan improvements, not necessarily on the elevations. So we didn't likely provide as much detail, but there are currently no gutters in the building, and we are putting gutters on all the buildings and the garages. And those are going to be done and or designed in coordination with the on-site stormwater system so that we get drainage away from the buildings.
So, and how does the water from the gutters get down? Do you have rain leaders? Vertical?
Larry, can you speak to that? I'm going to introduce Larry Prinz. He's our architect.
Yeah, I can. This rendering doesn't show downspouts, and that's my fault. There are downspouts on every gutter and at the entry canopies, which are brand new, and they will deposit the water in at grade in splash blocks, which with the new grading that we're introducing to the site, it will drain positively away from the buildings and end up in our stormwater system.
What will those downspouts that you call and I call rain leaders, what color will those be?
Well, in past projects, we have changed the color from when they exit the gutter to when they attach to the siding. so that they match the siding color. That's what we've done in the past. That is a possibility here also.
Will you try to, I see some windows on the short elevation side. Will there be an attempt to run your downspouts right against the frame of those windows so you don't have a downspout or rain leader which is standing in isolation? You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and that won't be possible. Those windows and the brackets, the white trim pieces around those windows are set in from the corner. So the downspouts will have to be on the siding itself.
So in that case, can you have the downspouts be the color of the dark color so they blend in with the elevation?
Yeah, definitely. And we have done that on previous projects where we've had them be white from the gutter to when they turn vertical. And then when they are vertical and when they attach to the building, they would be the same color as the siding.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Is the roofing material just an asphalt shingle?
Yes.
Is it what do you have any specifications on the roofing material that would be used?
I can't say specifically, but we're doing another project, very similar project in Inver Grove Heights. And I actually have the roofing sample outside my office here, and it's GAF Armor Shield. Our insurer requires that we do the high impact shingle for any shingles that are replaced. We do a high impact shingle for them to receive hail coverage from their insurance carrier. So they'll be I'm going to call them an architectural shingle, but I'm not an architect. So I would say they would be a dimensioned, and I would anticipate a GAF Timberline. Is it Armor Shield, Larry?
Armor Shield 2, yeah. It's a high impact resistant shingle. Yep.
They're typically called architectural shingles anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right.
I just get afraid of,
yeah.
I didn't want to speak about something I wasn't 100% certain of.
I have the approval of roofers.
You guys have if you guys have sourcing issues for that type of a shingle, the high impact shingles this year, do you have alternative plans or other shingles that would meet impact resistance? I know there's a lot of issues with high impact shingles or impact resistant shingles not being produced this year due to demand issues.
I'd say we have concerns about a whole host of material shortages, drywall compound, appliances, shingles. So I'd say at this point, I've not been made aware of any shingle shortage, given the timeframes. This is our anticipated start would be third quarter. But obviously we'll be monitoring it very closely.
Yeah, but we do have, to answer your question, Jason, we do have 2 other impact resistant shingles in our spec that we can go to as backup if we need to.
Okay. But I just know that one specific that you referenced is going to have some challenges this year.
Yeah.
Will there be any
good
exterior lights mounted on the face of the building?
Yes, there will be several. One, if you look at the plan, there are 3 buildings. In building B, there's a light on the let's see, that would be the south side of the building, a fixture, and then in building C, there'll be a wall-mounted fixture above the entry to the new office or the new laundry, and all the other lighting will be ground-mounted, pole-mounted lighting.
So these wall-mounted lights, will they be shining down or shining up and down?
They will be shining down, and they will have cutoffs so that they meet all dark sky requirements and won't fall off. You know, the light fall will be limited.
And I'd say I just amplify that. We have a luminary plan that is in our full plan set that we could share with you as well.
Yep.
Okay. That elevation you showed, is that the side that is facing McKnight?
It is. It's actually the east side, but the side that faces McKnight is the same. It'll look the same.
Okay, front and back are the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've added canopies to both sides of the building at the entrances. Those flat roof white elements that you see.
Okay.
I would just amplify, we're doing that in part, we're replacing all the unit or building entry doors with commercial glass, and is it anodized aluminum, Larry?
Yes.
Entrances?
Yep.
So, and we've got a new cover over those. So the entrances will all be new and secure.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board for anybody?
No.
Good.
Okay, I would open this up for comments from the public. I will will allow 1 minute. So just any statements you have from the public, and I am timing it. I will cut you off. So in the interest in keeping this meeting going on the schedule set, we'll do that. So Michael, if you'd like to recognize somebody.
Sure, I will read off the last 4 digits of your phone number. To unmute, you would press *6. Looks like we have someone that has done that, so we'll start with them. So if your phone number ends in 8171, you have the floor.
Hi, my name is Diane Krowitz, and I live adjacent in the townhouses. And I think I heard you just say that you will be putting up a new fence, which I'm very happy about because I was concerned about the old one going away. So if that's true, could you tell us the height, color, the material, and does it run the length of the property?
Mr. Chair, is it okay if I respond? Or is that Mike?
Respond, please.
Okay. We saw your comment. I believe it was your comments. Mike had provided some information about comments that have been received at least through yesterday or Friday. And we took your comments to heart and have sent Mike an email describing that we would replace the fence. So I can just verbally describe what our intent is and what a revised site plan would look like. And that would be starting on the pond end, north end of the site. We would do a 42-inch vinyl coated chain link south to the first garage structure, tied so it wouldn't be penetrable. And then in between the existing garages, we would replace the existing 6-foot chain link gray fence with a 6-foot steel coated framed fence structure that is woven with 2x4 and 2x6 Trex panels vertically attractive, and those would extend between the garages, each of the individual garages. And then in my email to Mike, I conveyed that as you go further south of the southernmost garage structure, it gets fairly forested, and the existing fence that's there has actually been, the trees and brush have grown through it. So we'd be, I would suggest or request that we work with city staff to determine how far south we would maintain, again, a new 42-inch vinyl coated chain link. It may get to a point where you'd prefer that we didn't replace the fence because there is quite a bit of coverage, and if we remove it, we could be exposing, but we'll work with city staff on something that's acceptable.
I believe we would like to have it extended as far as you can. Otherwise, we'll have trespassers that are going to be coming through, and children and trash and everything. So if we have a choice, and I'm very happy that you have taken that to heart and you are going to replace the fence, and I thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Mike, is the fence, is that one of the is that one of the requirements on the application, or is that just something that has been discussed?
Chair and board, it is not a requirement to have a fence in this situation based on code. Now, the applicant can do that for a host of reasons. And so if that's something they want to move forward with, that we'll work with them on proper placement of it, but it's not something that from an ordinance standpoint, we would require.
I understand that. I'm just, so we could, as a board, we could make that a stipulation for the approval of the project.
If it's a design element that you feel is important to the project, yes, that is in your purview.
Okay,
I did hear a chain link fence. And I don't know how the board feels, but is there an option to doing something else besides a vinyl coated chain link fence?
Well, I won't interrupt.
Chair and board, I believe that, so the question on the table would be, I believe to you, Ken, as the applicant, would there be a consideration of doing a different fence material instead of the chain link?
Well, the vinyl coated chain link is only currently proposed from on the north end of the site to replace an existing galvanized chain link fence. And I think as we go towards the driveway entrance, we wouldn't want to obscure a view of traffic left or right. I guess my opinion would be that the 42-inch fence on the north end of the site is sufficient. And then we've got a 6-foot fence, or the steel and Trex fence between the garages as you go south.
All right, thank you. I'd like to move on to the next caller.
Let's see. So if your phone number ends in 3180, 3180, you can press *6 to unmute yourself and address the board. Give you one more chance here. If your number ends in 3180 and would like to address the board, press *6. All right, move on to the next number. If your number ends in 7397, press *6 to address the board.
This is Carla again, and I really have no question on the physical structure, except I'm delighted that you're remodeling it. I have talked to the city for 2 years about fixing those garage doors, and I've walked over there many times, but I have other questions. I'll call the city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Michael, is there another caller that we could hear from?
Yeah, one more. If your number ends in 5006, you'd like to address the board, press *6 to unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Patty McDonald, and I'm actually a St. Paul resident. I'm one of the folks that live across McKnight, right on the other side. And I just want to mention 2 things. I am the person that wrote about the stormwater issue. And I did talk to John Jarosich, but I wanted just sort of to be on the record too. All that water from Maplewood comes under the street into our backyards. And the city, the Ramsey County assured back in 1974 that the flow rate wouldn't exceed 4 CFS. And so I just want that out there and make sure that when you're doing your ponding and all that kind of stuff, that none of that increases the flow under McKnight and over to our yards. So that was the first thing. And the second thing is about a fence, but not the fence that you're talking about. We sit out front and we watch all the kids playing in the backyard, quote unquote backyard, I don't know what you would call it, and this great, lovely green space that's unfenced, and we're just waiting for a kid to get killed. So not with anticipation. And we tried to contact the people that owned it before you and suggesting you put up some sort of fence that will make it safe for kids to play out there, would make it nicer for families to live there. It would make it feel like more of a backyard for them. It would increase, I think, your desirability for renting. Anyway, that's my comment.
All right, thank you. Okay, any other comments from the board?
And Mr. Kempe, I would just ask, because I know there was at least one call who wasn't able to unmute. I would just open it up. If there's anyone that hasn't been able to address the board, now is kind of your last chance in terms of this meeting. So if you have any comments, press *6 if you have not addressed the board yet.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Okay, this is Gene Scalco speaking. I live next door. The trash containers are left open and we have a lot of wind blow with the trash coming over. So I guess if we could have them possibly enclosed with a roof over some way just to reduce the amount of where the air blows, so it reduces the trash and also the unsightliness of the containers. That'd be greatly appreciated.
Okay, thank you. So anyway, public, I just want to thank you for your comments. Sorry if I had to cut you off, but you know, I did say we had to limit comments to 1 minute because there is another meeting that comes in right after this one, and we do not want to intrude on their time. So with that, is there any further comments from the board or a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion.
Yes.
I'll find my right people up here. I'll move to approve the design plans, date stamp March 26, 2021 for the 29-unit apartment complex located at 410 McKnight Road, subject to the 11 conditions that are identified in our packet.
Okay. Bruce, would you like to make another condition about the fencing that was discussed, or do you want to leave your motions as standing?
I would invite a friendly amendment.
Okay. Is there a board member that would like to offer a friendly amendment?
I was going to offer a friendly amendment, but not for that. I was going to say that was regarding the downspout, the rain leader color to match the color of the building.
Okay.
That's
Bruce?
acceptable.
That's acceptable. I will offer a friendly amendment that the applicant work with staff for on the fencing to come up with an attractive solution that looks good and also is safe as far as being able to see traffic.
I'll accept that as well.
Okay, so we have 2 friendly amendments. Anything else from anybody?
I would second that motion with those amendments.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second with 2 friendly amendments. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we will go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of this signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, it sounds like the motion passes. Congratulations. This thing may move ahead. I assume nothing has to go through the city council.
Chair and board, we have a 15-day appeal period for either the applicant or the city council. If no appeals are filed, then yes, they are able to move forward. It does not go to another public meeting.
Do the applicants have any voice in this 15-day period?
Yes, it's the applicant and city council and the board that have the opportunity to appeal.
Okay, and then people that do not live in the city, do they have a voice?
They can continue to reach out to staff for questions and conversation and discussions, but they do not have an option to appeal the project.
Okay, thank you. Good, so I think we are done with that.
Ken has a question.
Mr. Chair, could I ask one question? I was just going to offer, of the folks who are on the phone call, Mike has my contact information, or it may be somewhere else in the materials. I would welcome a conversation with any of the neighbors. We're available anytime, it'd be helpful to get to know them. And I'd welcome phone calls to talk about any specific issues.
Okay, thank you, Ken. That's very good of you. So moving on, then we move on to item letter F, unfinished business. Staff, anything?
Chair and board, staff does not have anything further for you tonight.
Any visitor presentations? Hearing nothing there. Board presentations?
Mr. Chair, if I could have just a minute.
Sure.
I wanted to let you and fellow board members know that my wife and I have purchased a new house outside of Maplewood. We're actually moving to Centerville at the end of this month. So this will be my last meeting and I will be tendering my resignation.
Well, I'm sorry to see you go.
That is not what you wanted to hear, Bruce.
I've enjoyed this very much and I do appreciate it's especially interesting to me to find out what's going on in Maplewood and feel like I'm a part of what's happening in Maplewood. So I appreciate the opportunity to have served on this board.
Okay, well, thank you, and we appreciate your contribution.
Yeah, thanks for the contribution. Mike, you got two vacancies coming up here.
I
You have to start
know.
advertising.
It's not a good year for us so far.
Hey, Bruce, how do you know Abby?
She did a number of projects with Ramsey County.
Okay.
I should also add in board presentations that I did address the city council last week for our year-end report for the Community Design Review Board. They received it well. They appreciate their, or they express their appreciations to the work that we do. Hey, staff, anything you want to add?
I have nothing further for you tonight, Mr. Chair.
Okay, then without any objections, I will adjourn this meeting. Hearing none, it is so adjourned.
Great
Thank
night.
you.